1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around 12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Hi guys, it's a girl Bleezy and you're welcome back to Bleezyunfiltered channel. And if you're joining us for the first time, you're welcome. Today we'll be talking about something that is not trending but absolutely heartbreaking. Right now across America, soybean farmers are crying out for help and almost nobody is listening to them. These are people who feed the nation, but today they can't even feed themselves. So guys, let's get into more videos.
He put out a message on Truth Social last hour saying that he's going to be meeting with President Xi of China and that he will discuss soybeans. Do you put much stock in that? Does that make you feel better?
Well, I mean, what good's it going to do to discuss soybeans at almost November? Because Senator Tester can correct me if I'm wrong here, but in November, the Brazilians will start cutting. They'll be in full swing by December. They don't need us. I mean, you're going to wait to have a discussion over selling soybeans when Brazil's in full bore? What bargaining power are we going to have then?
That's a good point.
If you talk to America's farmers, they'll tell you these are tough times. A combination of high operating costs, low commodity prices, and lost markets has had devastating repercussions on the agriculture industry and the communities built around it. CBS's Lana Zach is in Davenport, Iowa tonight with new details on the growing crisis.
Farmers say this has been a perfect storm. They were already battling higher growing costs and crop disease, and now China, which had previously purchased half of all U.S. exports, has pulled out.
U.S. soybean farmers are starting their harvest, but they face steep losses that could fuel farm bankruptcies and foreclosures nationwide.
This is awful discouraging. You know, we do our very best to grow a good crop to feed the world, and then we can't hardly give it away.
Many growers say they feel betrayed. Last week, the Trump administration gave Argentina a financial lifeline, a $20 billion loan. But Argentina then cut the price of its own soy exports to China, undercutting U.S. farmers.
We don't do something. We're not going to help them with family farms.
In Arkansas this month, hundreds of farmers packed into a church to plead for help from the government.
I'm in the worst shape right now that I've ever been in.
With prices for crops crashing, farmers are doing everything they can to stay viable, even selling off equipment. Joel's Tractors in Strawberry Point, Iowa saw a 30% jump in farm machinery up for auction this year.
Put a finger full of grease in there.
Keeping aging tractors running has Lawrence Christensen and his team working at full throttle.
The demand is stronger than the availability.
New equipment costs have increased by 60% in the last 8 years. John Deere, a U.S. manufacturing icon, says U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum will cost them $600 million this year. Over the past 2 years, the company has had to lay off 2,500 employees.
Majority of my family worked here.
Gabriel Gomez was a proud Deere employee, following in the footsteps of his dad and uncles. Friday was his last day.
It's like a kick to the gut, right? When you're getting laid off after you've given 20 plus years to the company.
When you think about these tariffs and the ripple effects that they've had, do you think it's worth it?
You know, you hope that possibly in the long term they would be helpful. Currently here in the short term, it's really killing us. We were sold that we were going to do everything we could for the American workers, and we're seeing quite the opposite at this time.
President Trump says he will make it up to farmers, promising them some of the tariff revenue. But here in this area where John Deere is headquartered, the economic losses are hitting the entire community.
As a farmer, we get up one morning and you give Argentina, which is our second biggest competition in the world. They're the largest exporters of soybean meal in the world. So I get up one morning, I turn the news on, and you give $20 billion of taxpayer money to my competition. And then the Chinese buy, I think the figure is 30 or 40 containers, ships, which is about 65,000 metric tons per ship, which is like 2.2 million bushels. So they buy 12 or 14 billion dollars worth of soybeans from the Argentinians after the tax holiday. And here's the caveat to it. They give $2.30 over the November board, while I'm getting 50 cents under the November board. So that makes the Argentinian soybeans about $12.42 a bushel. I think that's the real figure they gave. So all my premium went.
Scott, I just lost you there at the end. You said your premiums go?
They all went to Argentina.
I'm making this video from Iowa. We own a soybean farm here, and we are really struggling right now. The entire soybean industry is collapsing thanks to these tariffs and the fact that China has completely cut off all contracts with the United States. They are importing all of their soybeans from Brazil. Thanks to these trade wars, soybean prices have dropped so much that it's pushing all of us farmers into the red in an already difficult year. We're part of the Soybean Farmers Association, and we sent a letter to the president this month urging him to stop this trade war so that the entire industry doesn't go under. On top of that, the tariffs have made all of our farm equipment skyrocket in price. We can barely afford anything right now. Of course, as a farmer, I voted red just like all the other soybean farmers, and now the people we elected are ruining our entire business, our entire way of life, our entire industry. The same thing happened in 2019 when he had the trade war with China. I mean, I know it doesn't make sense that we voted for him again, but we just can't help it. Anyway, any help that we could get urging him to end this trade war would be much appreciated.
America's largest and most valuable export to China, do you know what it is? Soybeans. Well, they have crashed to zero because of President Trump's trade war. Farmers are feeling the pain big time, and the Trump administration could announce a more than $10 billion bailout this week. But farmers tell Janet Shamlian their problems are much bigger than that.
It's harvest season in America's heartland.
Is this the prime harvest time in southern Illinois?
Yes, it is right now.
But for soybean farmers like Scott Gaffner, it's a season of worry. Soybeans are the nation's largest agricultural export. But as the trade war drags on, China, America's biggest buyer, hasn't purchased any this year.
We can't help but feel very anxious of wondering why it's taking so long to get this resolved.
Are you angry?
The farther we go into this season, the more we're going to lose. And China should have been buying our beans already, and they're not. It's like crickets.
So he's storing what he's producing, hoping the market will turn.
So we're going to lose probably about $2 a bushel this year.
And how much does that mean overall?
That means a lot. It means we can't sustain that kind of loss for very long of a time period without going under.
And it's not the first time this has happened. Soybean farmers were hammered during President Trump's first trade war with China in 2018. Now the administration is promising them another bailout.
We don't want the aid, we want the trade.
Gaffner says one-time relief is not a long-term solution.
If China starts buying elsewhere, which they are doing now, once they establish those trade routes, it becomes more difficult for them to come back to the U.S. to buy their commodities. Once we lose that, we may never get it back again. And that's huge for next generations.
Including for his son Cody, who would be the fourth generation to farm the land.
If I do come back, I do have to have a second job to supplement that, because there's no way currently with the tariffs in place that we can survive with that.
For Scott Gaffner, it's about more than his bottom line.
We're just not stimulating our own sales. We're stimulating the economy in our area. That economy relies upon us as farmers to keep that economy going. And so it impacts everybody.
So guys, things just got even worse for American soybeans farmers. For years, China was their biggest buyer, the market that kept many small farms alive. But now, exports have dropped, slowed, and been redirected, and farmers are paying the price. Imagine this. You plant thousands of acres and you invest every dollar you have into seeds, fuel, fertilizers. You count on that big international buyer, the one that has always kept your farm afloat. And suddenly, that door closes, order stops, price crashed, and you are left with bags of soya beans and nowhere to sell them. Farmers are watching their income disappear overnight. Some can't even pay their loans. Some are losing land that has been in the family for generations. Some are breaking down because they know one more season like this and they are done. And do you know the saddest part? These are the people who feed the country, the backbone of the rural America. But today, they are standing in field that they might not own tomorrow. The world may not be talking about it, but trust me, American soybean farmers are hurting and they are crying out for help. So guys, tell me what you think in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in my next video. Bye.